AI cause a market crash?
And are the robots really coming for our jobs?
Like, are those predictions about to come true?
Yeah, are we all going to be out of work?
We've got a ton of research articles
Some pretty heated online discussions.
to help us unpack this.
We've got a lot of material to go through.
A healthy dose of skepticism, too, because
As economists, we know
we're not going to take anything at face value.
we got to look at it from all sides.
Now, before we get lost in the algorithm,
Yeah.
let's just remember that economics is a social science.
At its heart.
Yeah, we're not dealing with like predictable atoms or molecules here.
No, it's all about those unpredictable humans.
It really is. And as our friends at Tutor 2 Economics put it,
Trying to predict human behavior in the economy is like trying to herd cats.
I love that analogy.
You can set up all the models you want.
Yeah, you can make all the predictions you want.
Those cats are going to do whatever they please.
Speaking of unpredictable cats,
Okay.
let's talk about the Warren Buffett indicator,
Right.
which some people see as kind of a market mood ring.
Okay.
And it's basically the total value of the US stock market.
Divided by the country's GDP.
And according to the Motley Fool UK, this indicator is currently flashing bright red at a historically high 209%.
That's high.
That's higher than the dot-com bubble.
And the 2008 financial crisis.
So does that mean we're on the verge of another major market correction?
It's a possibility we can't ignore.
Okay, so we need to pay attention to this.
A high Warren Buffett indicator suggests the market might be significantly overvalued.
So that means stock prices are inflated compared to the actual economic output.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so before you panic and sell all your stocks,
Don't do that yet.
it's important to remember this indicator isn't foolproof.
No, it's not perfect.
So what are we missing here?
Well, the global economy is a lot more interconnected than it used to be.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And that impacts market valuations.
Globalization.
Plus, the way companies operate has changed.
How so?
Forbes has pointed out that the rise of intangible assets
Like intellectual property.
makes it harder to assess a company's true value.
So the old indicators might not be telling the whole story.
Yeah, they might need some updating.
But even with those caveats, this flashing red light does make you wonder,
It does.
especially when we factor in AI.
Yeah,
I mean, the technology is evolving so quickly.
at an insane pace.
Are those robots really coming for our jobs?
Well, the IMF has actually poured some cold water on the idea of immediate widespread job losses due to AI.
Really?
Yeah,
So it's not that AI isn't powerful, it's just that the idea of full automation
like robots taking over everything.
is often a lot more complex and expensive than it sounds.
Way more complicated.
So those headlines about robots replacing everyone tomorrow are probably a bit overblown.
A little bit, yeah.
So fully automating a job often requires more than just plugging in a robot.
Oh, absolutely.
There are so many nuances to human work.
Things like judgment calls,
Adaptability.
dealing with unexpected situations.
Those are hard to replicate in a machine.
Yeah, those are very human skills.
That makes sense, even with all the advances in AI.
Yeah,
I still haven't met a robot that can write a decent podcast script.
maybe someday.
So if it's not mass unemployment, then what's the real story of AI and jobs?
The real impact is more about a shift in the types of jobs available.
Okay, so what kind of shift are we talking about?
Economists call this skill-biased technological change.
Skill bias.
And AI is accelerating this trend.
So you mean AI has preferences?
In a way.
Yeah. Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think of it like this AI excels at routine, repetitive tasks.
The kind that can be easily programmed.
Exactly.
So those are the jobs that are most vulnerable.
Unfortunately, yes.
On the other hand, AI struggles with tasks that require things like creativity,
Complex problem solving.
social intelligence.
Those uniquely human skills.
So data entry clerks and factory workers might be at risk, but artists,
Therapists, teachers are probably safe for now.
exactly. And if we look at that list of 65 jobs least likely to be automated,
It's an interesting list.
we see that the jobs most resistant to automation are those requiring human-centered skills.
Those things that are really hard to program into an algorithm.
So the robots might take over the spreadsheets, but they'll have a hard time replacing the human connection.
That's a good way to put it.
That's pretty interesting.
And this shift has huge implications for how we think about education.
And the workforce of the future.
Yeah, we need to prepare for this.
So we've got this potentially overvalued market, and we've got AI shaking things up in the job market.
It's a lot to consider.
How do these two forces interact?
That is the question.
Could AI actually trigger a market crash?
That's the million-dollar question.
And there's no easy answer.
We're in uncharted territory here.
But one scenario to consider is that the increased productivity brought about by AI could actually lead to a surge in economic growth.
It's possible.
Wait, so AI could actually boost the economy,
It could,
even if it disrupts some industries?
potentially, yes.
Think about the internet.
Yeah.
It initially led to the dot-com bubble and a lot of fear about job losses.
A lot of fear.
But after a period of adjustment,
It revolutionized the economy.
it created a ton of new opportunities.
It did.
So you're saying AI could be the internet on steroids
Great plan.
with an even bigger potential for both disruption and growth.
Exactly.
But the question is, how do we manage this transition fairly?
That's the key question.
Because if AI is going to create winners and losers,
There will be both,
we need to make sure the benefits are shared.
and that the losers aren't left behind.
So what are some of the ideas being floated around to address this?
Well, the IMF and other organizations are talking about an AI tax.
An AI tax, what is
No,
it?
the idea is to tax the excess profits generated by AI to fund social safety nets and retraining programs for displaced workers.
An AI tax sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does a little bit.
But I could see the logic. If robots are going to be doing some of the work, they should at least contribute to the tax base, right?
It's a way to ensure that the wealth generated by AI benefits society as a whole.
Not just a select few.
Exactly.
But wouldn't taxing AI potentially stifle innovation?
That's a valid concern.
I mean, if companies have to pay a hefty tax on their AI investments, wouldn't they be less likely to invest in the first place?
It's possible.
It's a tricky balance.
Striking the right balance between encouraging innovation and addressing potential negative consequences is crucial.
And speaking of addressing consequences, what about traditional unemployment benefits?
Yeah, how do they fit into all of this?
I mean, unemployment benefits are meant to help people get back on their feet when they lose their jobs.
Yeah, they're a safety net.
But with AI potentially disrupting entire industries,
Yeah.
wouldn't that put a huge strain on these systems?
It's definitely a challenge.
So what have economists found about this?
IZA World of Labor has done a lot of research on unemployment benefits.
Okay.
And one of the key concerns is that generous benefits might disincentivize people from actively seeking new employment.
Okay, I've heard that argument before.
Yeah.
But is it really that simple?
I mean, people want to work, right?
They want to contribute.
It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Recent research suggests that the duration of unemployment benefits might have a less significant impact on job-seeking behavior than previously thought.
Interesting.
What seems to matter more is people's immediate financial situation.
Okay, so if someone's struggling to make ends meet,
They're more likely to take any job they can get regardless of the benefits.
so it's not just about providing a safety net. It's about ensuring people have the resources and support they need to adapt to a rapidly changing job market.
Exactly.
Hang on a second, because I think we need to pause here for a breath.
We've covered a lot.
We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about market indicators,
Yeah.
nuances of AI, and automation robot taxes, and even the complexities of unemployment benefits.
That's a lot for one part.
And we've only scratched the surface.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore even more about the potential impact of AI on the economy,
We'll look at specific industries
historical parallels.
and some really thought-provoking predictions about the future.
That'd be good.
So buckle up, listeners. The ride's just getting started,
Stay tuned. Welcome back at Scientia et Experentia.
where we're on a mission to unravel the mysteries of economics and human behavior, especially in this age of AI.
And today we're continuing our deep dive into the big question, could AI cause a market crash? And how will it reshape the future of work?
Last time we talked about the Warren Buffett indicator flashing warning signs,
Yeah, those were pretty alarming.
and the idea that AI might not cause mass unemployment, but a shift in the types of jobs available.
A shift, yeah, not necessarily a complete elimination.
We also touched on some potential policy responses like the AI tax
That's a hot topic.
and the role of unemployment benefits in a world where AI is changing the rules of the game.
The rules are definitely changing.
Now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
Are there any historical parallels that might give us some clues about what to expect with AI?
That's a great question. If we look back at previous technological revolutions like the Industrial Revolution or the rise of the internet, we see a recurring pattern.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about this,
It
Peg.
usually starts with a wave of excitement and innovation.
New technologies emerge, promising to change everything,
But this initial euphoria is often accompanied by fear and uncertainty.
especially worries about machines replacing human workers.
Exactly. It sounds familiar, right? We're definitely in that phase right now with AI.
Everyone's talking about the amazing potential, but also wondering if their jobs are about to become obsolete.
Yeah, it's a mix of excitement and anxiety.
Then, as these new technologies mature and become more widely adopted, we often see a period of disruption and adjustment,
Think of it like a shakeup.
where the old ways of doing things are challenged.
And some things break along the way.
Disruption, does that necessarily mean economic crashes?
Not always, but it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
Remember the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s?
Oh, yeah, that was a wild time.
There was a frenzy of investment in internet companies,
But many of them were overvalued and ultimately failed.
leading to a market crash.
Right. But then out of those ashes rose companies like Google and Amazon.
And the internet transformed everything.
Really did.
That's the key takeaway here. Disruption is often followed by a period of adaptation and ultimately transformation.
So it's not all doom and gloom,
No, it's more like a period of creative destruction.
where some things fall apart, but new things emerge in their place.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that change is inevitable.
And that embracing it rather than feeling it is crucial. Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Good.
But let's zoom in a bit. What about specific industries? Which ones are most likely to be impacted by AI, and which ones might actually benefit from it?
If we go back to that list of 65 jobs least likely to be automated, we see that the jobs most at risk are those involving routine, repetitive tasks.
So manufacturing, transportation, data entry,
Yeah.
those kinds of jobs.
Exactly. Those are the jobs that are easiest to automate to hand over to robots and algorithms.
But what about the other side of the coin? What are some areas where AI could create new opportunities, new jobs, new industries?
That's where it gets really exciting. We're already seeing AI being used to develop new drugs, diagnose diseases earlier, and more accurately personalize education, and even create art and music.
Wow, pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So AI isn't just about replacing jobs, it's also about creating new ones, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Absolutely, and we're just scratching the surface. As AI continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge.
Leading to new industries and new jobs that we can't even imagine yet.
It's hard to even fathom the possibilities.
Okay, so change is coming, disruption is likely, but there's also potential for positive transformation, new opportunities, and even a boost to the economy.
It's a mixed bag.
But the question is, how do we manage this transition in a way that benefits everyone?
That's the million-dollar question, and there are no easy answers, but one thing's for sure, we need to be proactive, not reactive.
We can't just sit back and wait for the robots to take over.
No, we need to be prepared.
We need to think about how to shape this future to ensure that the benefits of AI are shared widely.
And that brings us back to the policy discussions we touched on earlier.
Right, like the AI tax.
We talked about the AI tax as one potential way to fund social safety nets and retraining programs.
The robot tax, interesting idea, but it's definitely controversial.
Some people are worried that it could stifle innovation.
If we tax AI too heavily,
It's a valid concern. There's always a balance to be struck. But the core idea is that if AI leads to a concentration of wealth in the hands of a few, we need mechanisms to redistribute some of that wealth.
and to support those who are negatively impacted.
Exactly.
What about other policy ideas? I've heard people talking about universal basic income, or UBI, as a potential solution.
UBI is definitely gaining traction as a potential policy response to the potential job displacement from AI.
It's the idea of giving everyone a guaranteed income regardless of whether they work or not.
Right, it's a safety net for everyone.
I can see how that could provide a safety net in a world where jobs are less secure. But wouldn't that discourage people from working altogether?
That's a common concern, but the evidence from pilot programs in various countries suggests it's not necessarily the case.
Really?
People often use the extra income to pursue education, start businesses, or improve their skills.
So it's not just a handout. It's an investment in people's potential, giving them the freedom to explore new possibilities.
Exactly. Of course, implementing a UBI on a large scale would be incredibly complex and expensive.
I can imagine.
And there are many political and logistical hurdles to overcome, but it's definitely an idea worth considering as we navigate the potential impact of AI.
Okay, so we've got the AI tax UBI. What other tools are in the policy toolbox when it comes to managing this AI-driven transformation?
Education and retraining programs are absolutely crucial as AI changes the demand for certain skills we need to equip people with the knowledge and abilities they need to thrive in the new economy.
We can't just leave people behind as the world changes around them.
No, we need to invest in their future, and this goes beyond traditional education.
Maybe.
We need to promote lifelong learning adaptability and the ability to constantly evolve alongside technology.
So it's not just about learning a specific skill for a specific job,
Right.
but about developing a mindset of continuous growth and adaptation.
Being comfortable with change and uncertainty.
And this applies not just to individuals, but to businesses and institutions as well.
We need to foster a culture of innovation, experimentation, and agility.
Those who can adapt and evolve will thrive in the age of AI.
It's all about adaptability.
Because in a world where AI is constantly changing the rules of the game, the only constant is change itself.
Well said, and that brings us to another critical point that's often overlooked in all this talk about robots and algorithms.
What's that?
The importance of human connection.
Human connection. How does that fit into all this talk about AI automation and the future of work?
Remember that list of 65 jobs least likely to be automated? What did all those jobs have in common?
They were all about human interaction, empathy, and understanding. Teachers, therapists, nurses, artists.
Exactly. As AI becomes more prevalent, those human-centered skills will become even more valuable in a world increasingly dominated by technology. It's our ability to connect with each other, to build relationships, and to create meaningful experiences that will set us apart.
So it's not about replacing humans with machines, but about finding ways for them to work together to complement each other's strengths. AI can automate tasks, analyze data, and provide insights, but it can't replicate the human touch, the emotional intelligence, and the nuanced understanding that comes from genuine human connection.
Precisely. And that brings us to a crucial question that we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
How do we ensure that AI is used for good, that it empowers humanity rather than enslaves it?
This is getting good. Don't miss the final part of this episode, where we'll delve into the potential risks of AI and what we can do to shape a future where technology serves humanity. Welcome back to Scientia et Experientia.
For the final part of our deep dive into the world of AI.
We've covered a lot, from market indicators to the potential for both disruption and opportunity.
And in this final part, we're going to tackle some of the big questions about the potential risks of AI.
Yeah, because let's face it, with any powerful technology, there's always a dark side.
Absolutely. AI has the potential to transform our world, but it also has the potential to be misused.
Or to have some unintended consequences.
For sure.
So what are some of the things that keep you up at night when you think about AI in the future?
One of the biggest concerns is that AI could be used to concentrate power and wealth in the hands of just a few.
Okay, so exacerbating existing inequality.
Exactly. Instead of a future where robots do all the work and everyone benefits, we could end up with a small elite who control the AI.
And the rest of us are left behind.
Yeah, it's a dystopian scenario that we need to avoid.
So how do we avoid that?
That's why those policy discussions we had about the AI tax and UBI are so important.
Right. We need to make sure that the benefits of AI are shared widely and that those who are negatively impacted are supported.
Exactly.
What about other potential risks? I've heard a lot of talk about AI and privacy and how these systems can collect so much data about our lives.
That's a huge concern. AI systems are trained on data.
And the more data they have, the more powerful they become.
But that raises questions about who controls that data and how it's being used.
What safeguards are in place to protect our privacy?
Exactly. It feels like we're constantly giving up more and more of our personal information.
To these tech giants.
And it's hard to know how it's being used.
Yeah, who has access to it?
And as AI gets more sophisticated, those concerns become even more acute.
So we need clear guidelines and regulations.
To make sure our data is being used responsibly.
And our privacy is protected.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
It's about the ethical framework.
Yeah, the rules of the road for how AI is developed and used.
We need to think carefully about the values that we embed in these systems.
And the potential consequences of their actions.
It's not enough to just focus on making AI more powerful. We also need to make it more responsible.
More ethical.
Right, because at the end of the day, AI is a tool.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
I like that. So if we're worried about AI going rogue,
Yeah.
the solution isn't to stop AI development. It's to make sure that the people developing these systems are doing so responsibly.
Ethically.
We need more diverse voices in the AI field.
More people asking the tough questions about the ethical implications.
And a broader public conversation about the kind of future we want to create.
These aren't just technical questions. These are societal questions.
Questions about values, justice, and what it means to be human in a world where machines are becoming more intelligent.
And ultimately, it's those human values that will guide us.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
The future of AI is not predetermined.
Okay.
It's not some inevitable outcome that we're powerless to influence.
We have a say.
The future is something we create through our choices, our actions, and our imagination.
So if we approach this with awareness and intention,
And a healthy dose of optimism and caution.
we can harness the power of AI to create a better future.
A future that benefits everyone.
It's a future where AI can help us solve some of the world's most pressing challenges.
From climate change to poverty to disease.
But it's also a future where we need to be vigilant to make sure that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
In a way that upholds human dignity and values.
Well said so. On that note, I think it's time to wrap up this first episode of Ciencia et Experientia.
It's been quite a journey.
We've explored the complex world of AI economics and the future of work.
And we've only just begun.
We hope you'll join us again next time as we continue to delve into the big questions shaping our world.
Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay hopeful.
The future is ours to create.